that's a good thing to learn, especially when you're a Bolshi feminist in your 30s. It's a good thing to know that everybody's not listening to you.
So, I can understand.
So that was very useful. And it also taught me to look at the text with the sort of, I'm really, really concerned about justice, and I'm very interested in how Dharma and justice might relate to each other. And I'm suddenly noticing how many times Lakshmana challenges Rama.
But I'm really looking forward to it right now that you have mentioned it.
I'll be sure to send you a copy.
Please do send me a copy, otherwise I'll be just overthinking about it. You are a translator. You have translated Valmiki's Ramayana into English. So my first question to you would be, as a translator per se, that whenever we look at a text, we go and look at a text with a particular mindset or a particular perspective, or somewhere or the other, unconsciously, subconsciously, we have that socio-political conditioning that we have grown up with. So as a translator, how do you not let that hinder you while you are translating a particular text, so that you stay neutral and you try to stay as true to the text as possible? Like, what's your process like for translation?
No process, it's just an act of will. It's a promise that you make that you are not going to alter what the text is saying, but at the same time, you are not going to make yourself invisible. So, for example, it's not like Arshia Sattar necessarily is visible in the translation that I've made, but the fact that I'm a South Asian woman is visible. So I think that is important. And honestly, it's this business of how do you not let your as you said, socio-political background, or your attitudes, or your prejudices, most importantly, it is just an act of will. You just say, I'm not going to do this, and then you make damn sure that you don't.
So during your process of translating Ramayana, were there instances wherein you had to actively remind yourself, or you saw that when you were rereading it, you saw that, oh, I did that, I need to redo it or change it? Were there any instances like that?
Both things. It's difficult to translate Ramayana as a feminist, but that it's very difficult, I think, to translate any text that goes against your own politics. It doesn't matter whether it's a contemporary text or it's a classical text, or but that's the fun of it, because you're saying, all right, this is not about me. So yes, you come up against parts in many texts where you say, oh my God, it's really hard for me to say that, but you say it anyway. And then, as you said, sometimes you read what you've done, for your second draft or your third draft, and you're like, I really should fix that. But you always fix it in the direction of the original text, because that is your contract as a translator. You're not a reteller. If you want to be a reteller, you can be. There are very beautiful retellings of stories that we already know, stories that we've heard before. But when you're a translator, it's a very, very it's a job,
But you said that Ramayana is not an easy text to translate. So why did you choose Ramayana? What made you have that affinity towards Ramayana and Mahabharata?
Well, I've done Ramayana, not Mahabharata, but so it started as for my master's, my PhD dissertation. I was already translating large parts of Ramayana. And then I came back to live here in India, and I was approached by a publisher who said, you've done half of it, why don't you do the rest? And I didn't hesitate for a moment. I never thought, oh, this is going to be difficult. Oh, maybe there's some things in it that make me a little uncomfortable. I never thought twice. And but I've thought about it since, and many people have also asked me this question: why did you choose Ramayana? I chose it because I didn't think about it, but when I did think about it, I was. I realized how much I had learnt from not always putting my opinion first and best. You know, so that's a good thing to learn, especially when you're a bolshy feminist in your 30s. It's a good thing to know that everybody's not listening to you. You know? So,
I can understand.
so that was very useful. Yeah, and it also taught me to look at the text with the sort of wider lens, as it were. You know, a little bit more of a bird's eye view, so I'm seeing more of it rather than less of it. It taught me a lot to not translate a text that was obviously mine. Yeah.
So, but I have two questions from this to ask you. First is, let me start with this, is that why do you think that Ramayana still holds importance today? Like, why should we read? Do you think that we should all read it today? And if you think so, then how do you think that it's still shaping us? Especially like you also write for, you are a children's writer too. So why do you think that the child should read Ramayana?
Yeah, well, now I think we should all read Ramayana because people are telling us not to read it. That's a very good reason to read it, you know. So I think that in itself becomes an act of resistance. I think acts of resistance, small, big, individual, collective, doesn't matter. They must be done. So that's one very good reason to read Ramayana, that people are saying don't. Another reason I think why as many people as possible should read Ramayana is it's a great story. It's a very, very, it's a very beautiful story. And I think it asks the big questions of the human condition. I don't think those have changed. I don't think the basic, I don't think basic human nature has changed. So what bothers Rama still bothers us.
Yes.
Why have we kept on reading it? Because we haven't sorted it out in our heads. You know, because people are still asking me questions like this: why do you read Ramayana? What does it mean as a feminist to translate Ramayana? It's precisely because those questions still exist that we are still reading Ramayana, looking for that answer. And I don't think we'll find the answer, because I think the mistake is asking the text to give us the answer, when in fact what we should be asking the text for is the question. Yeah, the answer is for us to find. It's not for the text to tell me what to think. Yeah.
Now that we are talking about reading Ramayana, I wanted to ask you that as a person who is getting introduced to Ramayana or starting Ramayana or have read Ramayana, what would you suggest? Reading the retellings or like reading a translation?
Oh, translation. Now, obviously, 100%. 100%. Because if you read a translation, you know that you're reading in English what is in the Sanskrit or the Bangla or the Marathi or the whatever it is. If you're reading a retelling, you are reading what is in Arshia's head, Amish's head, Neelakantan's head, Devadatta's head. You don't need to know that. You know, better that you figure out what was in Valmiki's head. Yeah, and then of course read a retelling.
Yeah.
But don't let a retelling be your starting point.
Yes.
Because retellings have a lot of the reteller in them. And if you read the retelling, you won't even know it's a retelling because you don't know what the telling is. If you don't know what the telling is, how can you know what is a retelling?
And then we'll start making the retelling the truth.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
That is something that personally I have been through.
See?
Yeah. But ma'am, when you started translating Ramayana, how has your view shifted? Because as you said that, this is a text that grows with you, right? So what was your first thoughts about Ramayana back then, and how has it evolved right now? So like if you can compare.
Well, my first thoughts of Ramayana, actually, I was 5 and my I mean, she was technically my ayah, but she was like a grandmother to me. She used to tell me Ramayana stories when I was a child in Delhi during Ram Leela season.
Yeah.
So my first thoughts of Ramayana was, I was frightened. I thought Ravana would come and take me away, like Sita, you know. So that was the very first thing I thought about Ramayana. And then when I sort of got seriously into Ramayana in graduate school, and it was through Hanuman. So my focus was entirely on Hanuman. And then when I was translating, my focus was on Sita. And then when I started writing about Ramayana, my focus was on Rama. So you know, it's now I'm thinking a lot about Lakshmana. So it got everything to do with what stage of life you're in. I mean, I'm really concerned about justice, and I'm very interested in how Dharma and justice might relate to each other. And I'm suddenly noticing how many times Lakshmana challenges Rama in the text and tells him, you know, your idea of Dharma is not the same as mine. So I'm very interested in whether Lakshmana is talking about justice or is he talking about something else.
If you don't mind elaborating for me your concept of Dharma and justice, because isn't it like...
No, not yet. I haven't finished thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I haven't finished thinking about it. I want to... I mean, I'm still not sure even whether it's a book idea or whether it's an essay idea, you know, so, yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to it right now that you have mentioned it.
I'll be sure to send you a copy.
Please do send me a copy, otherwise I'll be just overthinking about it. Ma'am, there's something that I've come across while because the things get muddled up in Ramayana, the retellings get muddled up with the translation. The general people might not know what they're reading. It's also something that, you know, how I wanted to ask you this particular questions of how gender minorities are portrayed in Ramayana, the people's perception of it, and the truth of it. So if you could elaborate a bit more on that, because I was reading that, you know, the Rakshasas that they have portrayed in Ramayana, somewhere or the other I was reading it, it was basically the Dalits or the Adivasis who were living them at the, because of the caste system, they were living at the forest end and something.
Well, that is actually not in any Ramayana, right? I think it's unlikely that any Ramayana would say Rakshasas are Adivasis or Dalits. The people who will say that are the people who are interpreting Ramayana for you.
Yes.
I think it's rude. I think it's unfair. I think it's disgusting when people do that. But other people believe it. Yeah. Now that is a fight I'm willing to have. Yeah. There are many other fights that I'm not willing to have for how people interpret Ramayana and all that. But this one, also, you know, but I will say this, that people are very anxious to prove that the Ramayana was true, that it really happened. So everybody has to be somebody. You know, monkeys are actually nara, human. Not human, it means man, but you know, human. So they are almost human. So therefore they are, you know, some kind of humanoid. But people don't use a neutral term like humanoid. They say that they are forest dwellers, they are this, they are that. The problem is with wanting to identify as real. Instead of acknowledging that, my goodness, what a feat of literary imagination it is that a monkey can fly and speak Sanskrit, and, you know, monkeys build a bridge over the ocean. That is what we should be celebrating, that this came out of somebody's head. You know, not like, is it really true, where is the bridge, how many stones did they use, did they write Ram on every stone or every second stone or every third stone? Really? That's what matters? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I really don't think so. For me, it diminishes the story. It really diminishes the story. But for other people, I don't know, man. You know.
Yeah, I found your line from the panel very iconic, which you said that, you know, they were talking about that, you said that, you know, now what we are doing is, now that people have become susceptible to the fact that we read it, you should not let them touch it.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's what you just
Yeah,
basically mentioned.
yeah.
But yeah, that is so true.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's on the one hand, it's kind of useful that even these tiny little acts are acts of resistance. But on the other hand, how tragic that reading a book is an act of resistance. You know, I mean, from what level have we started resisting? How close has injustice come to us? Yeah. Yeah.
I think we will end our conversation on that only. So thank you so much.
Next time.
Yeah, next time, justice and dharma.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.